I'm going to talk about the basics of the iPad, but first let's take a look at the device itself. If you hold the iPad facing you, the one button on the front is called the home button. You can click that button to turn it on, or you can click that button to bring it back to the home screen, which is your first page of apps. On the top of the front is the front-facing camera. It's a lower quality camera than the one on the back. On the edge, which you can see from this back view, there are other buttons. You have your volume controls, and then the side switch, which can be used to either be a mute button or lock the rotation, so that when you turn the iPad sideways, what you see on the screen won't turn. The rear-facing camera is a high-quality, high-definition camera. The button at the top is the sleep and wake button. That's what you would press to put the device to sleep. And then the headphone jack is on the top as well. The dock connector is on the bottom, and then the speaker is on the back. When you click the home button, which is the only button on the front of the iPad, it'll tell you to slide to unlock. When you turn it on, then you'll see the home screen, which shows you some of the apps or programs that you have on the iPad. I can see near the bottom of that screen there are 4 dots, which means there are 4 different screens of apps. If I swipe my finger to the right, it will show me the next screen, and the next screen, and the next screen. I can also see that there is a tiny little icon to the left of the 4 dots. That's a magnifying glass. If I swipe all the way in that direction, I'll get a search screen, and I'll be able to type in a word, and it will search all of my apps, all of my files, all of my calendar items, and all of my emails for anything that contains that word. To get out of the search, swipe to the left again. If you start collecting lots and lots of apps, you might want to start to organize them. It's really easy to move them around, rearrange them, and to even combine them together in folders. All I have to do to start arranging them is click and hold on any of the apps, and they'll start to shake. You'll also notice that there's a little X in the corner of most of them. If I want to delete it from my iPad, I can click the X and it will ask me if I want to delete it. Some of them do not have the X. Those are the apps that came with the iPad, and they must remain on the iPad. If I want to rearrange my apps, I can easily do that once they're shaking by clicking on one and moving it around. I can combine them together by dropping one app on top of the other, and they will create a folder. It's going to give me a suggestion for the name of that folder. If I want to rename it, I can click on the name of the folder and the keyboard will come up and I can type in there if I want to. I could even move apps to different screens. Let's say I want this whole news folder to move to a different screen. I can click and carefully move it to the edge, and it will go back to a previous screen, and I could even drop other things in it. If I want to stop them from shaking, I just simply click the home button again. For my most used apps, I can add them to my dock, which is the row of apps at the bottom, just like on your computer. There are 4 apps on the dock right now, but on the iPad there are room for 6. Let's say I want quick access to my calendar. I'm going to click and hold on the apps until they start to shake, and I'm going to drag my calendar app and drop it on my dock. If you double-click the home button, it shows you what's called the multitask bar. On the multitask bar, you can see the apps you've used recently and that are still open and running. Although on the iPad, most apps that you're not actually using don't use any resources if they're just open. If I want to quit out of one of those apps, I can click and hold on any of the icons on the multitask bar and I'll get a minus sign. If I click the minus sign, it will quit out of that app. Again, it's not necessary to quit out of all your apps while not using them. On the multitask bar, if you swipe to the right, you'll see some other tools that you'll have access to, including volume controls, brightness controls, your media controls. your AirPlay button, and then you can also lock the rotation with this button on the left. When I don't have that locked, if I turn the iPad, it will turn what's on the screen. If I do lock it, then when I turn the iPad, it won't turn what's on the screen. To get out of the multitask bar, either just click on the screen or click the home button.